Ryan has struggled with addiction for many years, meaning he was going to end his life. So he just disappeared. And
350,000 people getting ready for bed, and it was about 10:30. Usually I go to bed at 8. And Lord, let us find Ryan. Please let us see Ryan. And they said amen, and she opened her eyes, and there he came walking right toward them, and they said that his hair looked like extra bright red because it was at nighttime. And they said
Central Time, before 12 Central Time, an angel will appear to me and tell me it's already done. Her son is found. He literally told me. He said your son's already found.
Comment down below which city you'd want a pop-up revival in next.
So my son Ryan has struggled with addiction for many years. He's been incarcerated a great many years because of it. And he had this girlfriend, and when we broke up with her, my son's not super emotional, so for him to cry is really unusual. So when he had this breakup with his girlfriend, he took it really, really hard, and he grieved for like a month. He couldn't stop crying. He'd wake up wailing. He didn't sleep hardly at all. I was really worried about him, and I thought about calling 911 a couple of times to get him help because he wasn't recovering from this breakup. And then he got an opportunity to go to detox and go to rehab in Spokane, which is about 2 hours away from me, where I was currently living. And we went there, and while he was there, his best friend died of 25 years. And so I knew he was really upset. And the next day I was going to call him, but he wasn't at the rehab anymore. And they told me that he got kicked out. They were unclear about why he got kicked out. But nonetheless, all I knew was my son, who struggled with addiction, was now out in the city, and I didn't know where he was, and his best friend just died. So then he ended up turning up at a friend's house, and he'd been staying there, and he said he was going to start his life and get a job and all this. And him and the girlfriend started talking again, and then they were fighting. And then he was using a lot. I could tell that he was high by his messages and what he sounded like when he talked to me. And so I was worried about him, but I just kept praying and leaving him in God's hands because I didn't have a choice. Then they were fighting, and he made comments on Facebook that he wanted to end it and that he didn't want to live anymore. And he talked to me one morning, and he was telling me to message this girlfriend, and then he stopped responding to me. This was like on last Thursday morning, and he stopped responding to me. Then in the evening, we saw the message where he said, "I almost made it. I'll try again tonight. I'll try harder again tonight." Meaning he was going to end his life. And he talked to my sister that night and said that I don't want to live anymore. And that was the last time anybody heard from him. So he was completely offline, which is also unusual. He's pretty much online all the time. So he just disappeared, and nobody could get a hold of him. None of his friends could get a hold of him. His aunt couldn't even try calling or tried messaging him. And this went on for a couple of days. And so I got alarmed, and I traveled up to Spokane to look for him. I made, over the next 3 days or so, I made multiple trips up to Spokane to search for him, and I talked to a lot of the people who lived on the streets, and got clues, and we got word that he was alive. There were sightings, which kept me encouraged. They said, "Oh yeah, I know that guy." Was showing pictures, and his roommate was showing pictures, and my aunt and my cousin were out looking for him. And then somebody had the idea, one of the homeless people, and I got to meet so many homeless people that I got to pray with, and just some really, really sweet people. And somebody had the idea, gave me the idea, one of the homeless people, to make flyers. So his girlfriend
was getting ready for bed, and it was about 10:30. Usually I go to bed at 8. and it was about 10:30, and I'm like, the day is almost over. I'm not asleep yet, but I haven't heard anything. Maybe I heard all wrong. I don't know. Then my cousin and my aunt were driving around, and they had been looking for him, and they pulled over, and they were praying together. My cousin said, Lord, let us find Ryan. Please let us see Ryan. And they said amen, and she opened her eyes, and there he came walking right toward them, and they said that his hair looked like extra bright red, because it was at nighttime, and they said it was like really like lit up. His hair was like lit up, and it just looked really red. Like they go, he has red hair, that guy has red hair. And like I said, it was at night, so they wouldn't have been able to see it very good.
Yeah.
And it was him. It was actually my son.
Wow.
And so my aunt, it's a city of 350,000 people. And so my aunt got a hold of my sister got a hold of me, and so I called my aunt, and we were all on speakerphone, and I got to talk to my son briefly and tell him that I loved him, and everybody was worried about him. We didn't know where he was. And after a few minutes of talking, because he was high at the time, after a few minutes of talking, he got angry and went